Today we finish off a 3-week series on compensation, and I thought I'd finish it off by talking about non-compete agreements. I've dealt with a couple non-compete agreements through the years, not because we have them at our clubs, but because I've helped some friends navigate them and some employees, and so I've learned a lot and thought a lot about non-compete agreements. I'm sure in big business industries, when we're talking about high levels of compensation and high profile positions, they probably are necessary. But in the athletic club scene, when we're talking about instructors, tennis instructors or fitness instructors, I don't think they're a great idea. And so we don't have them at our clubs. And as I've thought about them, there are 3 main consequences of enforcing a non-compete that I never want to have to deal with. They're not the only 3, but they're the 3 that prevent me from wanting to have non-competes. And those consequences are: number 1, that I'd have to force somebody to work for me. Number 2, that I'd potentially have somebody poisonous working in my organization among my staff. And number 3, that members would find out, and ultimately, in my experience, members don't side with the club, they side with their instructor. So let's unpack those a little bit. The first consequence is that I'd have to force somebody to work for me. In all honesty, I never want to force anybody to work for me. People should work at our clubs because they really want to be there, because they think it's the best place around, because they love the culture and they love the environment. If I ever come to an impasse with an employee, it's probably time to part ways. And if I have somebody on my staff that's not happy, chances are that's an indictment on me, and it's an indictment on my leadership of my club. And that's not a good sign. The second consequence is that I would have somebody potentially poisonous working in my organization. This person could be spreading rumors about me, spreading rumors about the club or others who work at the club, and that's never helpful for building a culture that's positive and enjoyable to be around. Nobody wants to be around somebody who's poisonous. And when it comes to protecting my staff and our culture, that, as you know, is priority number 1. And so we've reached an impasse with that person. The third consequence is that if I ever had to enforce a non-compete, members would find out. And in my experience, they side with their instructor, not the club. And it makes sense because the instructor is the one that they have the strong relationship with. And in their eyes, the big bad club is enforcing this non-compete on a passionate instructor who's just working really, really hard to put food on the table. And that's never good for your club's reputation and never good for your reputation as a leader either. So these are the 3 consequences that I've thought of that led me to the conclusion that we don't want to have non-competes in our organization. We want people working for us who really want to be there, not because we force them to be there. Now, I may be wrong, but I'd love to hear your feedback and what you guys are doing at your clubs. Feel free to comment on this video or shoot me an email at brianw@cpacweb.com, and I really look forward to dialoguing with you about this. And I hope you've enjoyed this 3-week series on the topic of compensation, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.